All right, everyone. Ready, set, go. Time to bottle.
All right, so now that we're in our bottling bucket, we're going to start the bottle here.
Now your bottling buckets come, talk to them about this piece that's on here, Matt.
So the bottling bucket doesn't come with the equipment kit because you don't have to have it. You can siphon straight from your carboy, or you can siphon from your carboy back into your primary fermenting bucket and bottle from there. It's a bit easier to use a bottling bucket. It's product number 5116, and the spigot is product 4882, and the links are below on the screen here. So you do get the hosing and the bottle filler in the bottling, in the equipment kit. So we're just gonna start filling bottles here. The nice thing about the bottle wand that comes in the equipment kit is you push it on the bottom. You open the valve first. Yep, forgot about that. As long as it's pushed on the bottom, it allows flow. When you pick it up off the bottom, it stops the flow. We're going to fill it all the way to the rim of the bottle, and when you pull the wand out, it displaces exactly enough volume to give us our 2 fingers of airspace. We want 1 to 2 inches of airspace. Much less than 1, and differences in temperature will work your cork out. Much more than 2 can risk the chance of oxidizing your wine. The nice thing about these Bordeaux or Claret bottles is all you have to do is make sure you get it in the neck of the bottle, and that's exactly your 1 to 2 inches. All right.
Let's rock and roll.
Yep. I'm giving a gentle stir for that sulfite to make sure it's completely dissolved in our wine. Okay, so we're getting down to the end, so we have to tip our bucket to get those last couple bottles out of there.
And this is a good reason for why you might want to have a friend with you when you're just doing this part of the process. Because
this part's real difficult.
You need an extra pair of hands to really get through this, and be kind and generous and send people home with a few bottles for their time, because I'm sure they'll appreciate it. Yeah, but the way these buckets are made, you got to tip to get that last little bit out. And we're what, Matt, about 2, maybe a bottle or 2 left?
2 bottles, yeah. And the rest will be a bucket pour.
Yep. Let's face it, that last little bit, it's obligatory to drink it.
Straight up.
How much we got left?
Less than a bottle. So as soon as we fill that one, we're good. Okay.
What do we get, 30?
Yep.
30 bottles.
So we got a full 30 bottles out of the batch, and even a little bit extra for the bucket pour. So we're going to go into the last part of this is going to be our corking stage. Now, the corks come in 30 counts, 100 counts, and 1,000 counts. They come from the manufacturer in 1,000 counts. So it is not really necessary to soak them in water. A lot of people have the misconceived notion. It makes them a little easier to slide in the bottle if you're using a hand corker, but if you're using a floor corker, that's not an issue. But we soak them in sulfite water because they're packaged from 1,000 counts down to 100 counts and 30 counts. So we don't We want to be really safe and sorry. So we're going to show you how to use a hand corker, and then we're also going to show you how to use a floor corker. So with a hand corker, you can only use the number 8 first quality corks, item number 4060 for the 30 counts, and 4066 for the 100 counts, and 4072 for the 1000. And there's a link below to these products that we're using. So we're going to soak one of them, and in sulfites, you don't have to soak them for, they just have to come in contact. So you don't need the 2 minutes of contact time that you need with the cleaners that we use.
And what's nice with these synthetic corks is that they're not going to absorb. All you really need is just a little bit of contact exposure and you're good.
Okay, so they're sterile now. So the first thing we're going to do is use a hand corker.
And you want to use the natural one for that?
The natural number 8, yes. Okay, so in a hand corker, you insert the cork into the hand corker. You bring the pin down, and everybody's got a different way of doing this, but I always like to just put the bottle between my feet so I don't knock it down, and then you shove it in that bottle. So it's corked, it's indented a little bit. I probably the next time will adjust that screw on there so it's a little bit more flush. But this will just be the first one I drink myself, so I don't worry about one cork being off. So that's the hand corker. That's item number 4037 with the link below for it.
And one thing I want to mention too is if you're not going to use synthetics and if you're going to use natural corks, after you cork your bottles, you want to leave them standing upright for about 3 days.
About 48 to 72 hours,
Yep.
Exactly. So the cork can expand.
Correct.
Especially if you're using a hand corker because you're shoving it through a tapered hole rather than squeezing it and poking it in the bottle.
After that period of time is over, then you have to store them on their sides. Because with natural corks, these corks will dry out. So the fluid in the wine actually is what keeps your cork moist.
Keeps it wet.
It keeps it wet, and it'll stop the cork from drying out. Plus, it also helps your wine age a little bit faster because these natural corks are porous. So there is a little bit of microscopic air exchange and evaporation that takes place that does something kind of similar to what happens with barrel aging. Yeah.
Well, and also along those same lines, if you keep it standing up too long and it crumbles, you get what's called cork taint. That musty basement smell to your wine and all kinds of particles in there. So it's a good idea, get a wine rack, lay your cases on their sides. Okay, so corks are not directional. I'm OCD, I always like my grapes facing the wine. So you drop the cork in there. You put your wine bottle. This is the Portuguese floor corker, item number 4042.
And take note of that spring down there because that spring is going to give that, it's going to get that bottle to go right up to where this opening is.
And you make sure it's in this lip underneath, holding it still so it doesn't kick out. You give it one nice smooth motion. Once you start hitting the cork, you just go like this. It is super easy. Now I can see that I'm a little bit too recessed. So I'm going to come back a little bit more on that. You want to drop corks for me? And
I shall drop corks.
Okay, so we're going to try it a second time, see if this one gets better. All right, that is flush. The nice thing about these floor corkers is once you start moving forward, this no longer can go down, it locks it.
See if we can do this whole thing in fast motion now.
Okay. That was the corking process. With a floor corker, it's a breeze. And that finishes up the bottling stage.
That finishes up the bottling stage. See, it's easy. We can do it. You can do it. Welcome. Enjoy your wine.